Mehdi had it all: a beautiful family and a successful job. Everything was going perfectly fine until life decided to test his limits, his strengths, not just emotionally and mentally, but also physically. Everything turned out to be topsy turvy in his life. He was in a zoned out state for years. How did he come out of it? Let's hear it from Mehdi and Sabiha. And you're watching Your Essence with Nidhi Sen. Hi guys, welcome to my channel, Your Essence with Nidhi, and we have Sabiha and Mehdi with us today. Welcome, Sabiha and
Thank
Mehdi.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for agreeing to be a part of this chat. Thank you.
No, thank you so much for inviting us over on your show. It's a great initiative, and I hope people do find value in it.
I hope so too. Thank you. So, Mehdi, please tell us a little bit about your life so
Okay.
that people know.
So I had a regular childhood, I would say. It was pretty much okay. Born into a middle class family. We were three siblings. I was the middle one. I had a great schooling. Parents were loving. Had a wonderful, caring and caring sister, loving and caring sister, and an extremely obedient younger brother, I would say. So,
He would make all the teas. I mean, all the time he would tell him to make tea. I've heard so many stories about that.
no,
Just-
and I'm really grateful that the equation has remained the same even today, and I will just pray
That's
and
amazing.
hope that it remains the same in future as well.
I love the word obedient.
Yeah,
I told him so.
She was saying that I said no, I've selected this word. I want to use this word.
Very good.
So everything was okay. Had a great schooling. Uh, Went to college and then started off with job. I got a good job with a media company, the Times of India, and at the young age of 26, I was selected as a branch head to open the branch at Dehradun. So, which my seniors told me was a great honor, so to say, at that time. At that young age, there was no one in TUI who was heading a branch. So I stayed in Dehradun for about 5 years. That is the place where I got married to her, and I then took a transfer back to Delhi. And this was in 2000. We came back to Delhi, and in 2002 the problem started. I really don't know how it started, but it did start. I had excruciating pain in my back. Got admitted in the hospital initially, and that is when I was diagnosed with a slip disc. So life then changed completely. My job was to, I was into sales and marketing, advertising. So uh, I had to go out and meet people, which was becoming difficult for me to carry out. So when the doctors said that the weakness had now started showing on my leg, that is when we decided to go in for the surgery. This was 2004.
I remember many people warning about this surgery, back surgery, and
Yeah.
secondly, because for 1.5 years he didn't suggest any
Okay.
such procedure. So we thought maybe now that he's saying, we should definitely listen to him.
So you were still, I'm sure you might have been still young, and that might have also been.
Yeah, 2000.
Our son was 2 years old.
Yeah, my son was 2 years old at that time when I had my first surgery. So I was thinking that everything would be okay after the surgery, but somehow destiny had other things in store for me. And the surgery, as I was told by other doctors later on, it went horribly wrong. I don't know whether the doctor was competent or not. Uh, I would not like to blame him.
Yeah.
Had to go wrong, it went wrong. That is how, let's put it this way.
In fact,
Yeah.
after that, we did a lot of research on the net, and there are a lot of failed back surgery cases. We came to know that many back surgeries fail. So every time I get to know, or he gets to know of anyone who's planning to undergo a surgery, we really, tell them not to go in, because we had a very bad experience.
So, what kept you going? How did it really affect you? Would you like to share more
See,
about it?
let me first give you a brief about what happened between 2004 and 2009,
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah.
This is the period when I underwent 9 surgeries. And see, spinal surgeries are, as it is, big thing.
Yeah.
So, undergoing 9 of them and the complications associated with them, a lot went bad, a lot went against me at that time. So the first surgery, I thought I would be okay after that. After surgery, 1.5 months, the pain returned back, and it was more than what I had earlier. So then, immediately in the year 2004, I had 3 spinal surgeries.
Wow.
And it was not just the spinal surgery. I picked up the worst of bacterias, OT bacteria, which is 66% fatal. Yeah, I even survived that. So I have a knack of surviving,
I'm glad.
big things. So
In fact, one of the doctors, I think after 1.5 years of his illness, said that maybe he has another year. After that, he would probably be using a wheelchair, so he wouldn't be able.
Yeah,
to
I developed a condition because after repeated surgeries, what happens is your spine, it tends to, there's some problem happens. I don't know medically. I'm not a medical person, so I'll not be able to explain that good. But the
The
condition,
nerves start to shrink.
the nerve starts to shrink. They stick together, and then that is the condition is known as arachnoiditis, and it's a very debilitating condition. You have a lot of pain, and it is very difficult to come out of it. uh, I somehow, that also happened after the second, third maybe surgery. That also happened. See, during this period, what happened was whenever I used to go and visit a new doctor, he would just give me so much hope that I would say, okay, fine, let's try him out. And that is how the number of surgeries kept increasing. 2005, I visited another doctor. He said, don't go in for any further surgeries, and he suggested, he put me on morphine. So I don't know, my life was going to change. It did change after the surgeries. I don't know. I was not aware that it was about to change even further. So 2005, I was put on morphine, and pain might have reduced, but morphine had a very, very telling effect on my mind. I was awake, but my mind was sleeping. I was not able to do anything at that time. So, and this condition, this condition continued for after 2005. It continued till about 2017. This was the period that I was on morphine regular 24/7. In 2010, I was put on a morphine pump, which is a pump. It is a device which is implanted into your body, and the morphine then goes to your brain directly. So even now I have the pump installed, but the morphine is not there. So a lot went through during that phase.
For those of you who do not know, morphine is actually like a painkiller, if I'm not wrong. It
Yeah, you are
Very
right.
strong.
It is the
Yeah.
strongest painkiller
Yeah.
available.
It's addictive too.
It is very addictive, and it's very difficult to come out of it.
Yeah.
Apart from that was the period, this entire 2002 to 2017 journey. Doctors put me on antidepressants. I still am in a lot of pain. I do have pain. I'm not done with pain. Probably I won't see any day that I'll not. It's not going to happen that pain will end. I think it will remain with me till the time I am alive. But yes, I would say now I can handle it better. Is one thing I would like to say.
Hats off to you, Mehdi. That's really tough. That's a very long time to be on something like morphine. So, what kind of ripple effects, besides your health, of course, that's one thing, but what kind of ripple effects did it have on other parts of your life, other areas of your life?
Oh, a lot. A lot happened in between. Life, completely changed for me. See, I had a decent job. I was doing well. Had a family, loving wife, a lovely child, and but everything changed all of a sudden. You were out of job. See, we are middle class people. We don't have bank balances to fund our life. You work, or rather, we work, earn, and then live our lives.
True.
So that is what my father did. That is what I intended to do, but somehow.
And secondly, the medical expenses are so high with all these hospitals. Wherever you went to, obviously, anybody would find it difficult to afford that much without any insurance, of course.
True. So, asking you, Sabiha, how was it for you to deal with Mehdi's health at that point? He left his job. He was on morphine. I'm sure it was equally difficult for you.
It was.
Maybe even more difficult to handle all of that.
Yeah, it was quite difficult. But then I just always kept counting my blessings. In fact, I would advise anyone who's going through a tough time to keep counting your blessings. That's the best way you can survive.
Yes.
Try to see the cup half full all the time.
See, I'll tell you the ripple effects it had. When you don't have money in your bank, I or rather we wouldn't have survived if it would not have been the support of the entire family. And when I say entire family, my brother, my sister, her brother, her sister, my uncles, my cousins, all of them, my friends, my friends, all of them came forward. And see, when I say my brother, my sister, please don't make any mistake in this, that you need to count their spouses into it, into the whole scheme of things. Without the support of your spouse, you cannot provide any kind of financial help to anyone. Dealing with your medical conditions, dealing with depression, dealing with addiction, and dealing with all these things, the financial burden, it kills you.
So, Mehdi, I'm going to ask you a tough question here. As a man in our society, okay, as a man, as the earning member, where you lost your job, or maybe you gave that away to take care of your health. You had to leave that. How was it for you?
Very, very tough. Very tough. I mean, from a person whom people used to look up to become a person who was dependent financially and otherwise also on everything, it was not easy. I mean, simply put, it was not easy.
Why I asked that question, because I wanted to also mention that this is normal. It can happen to anyone. So dynamics, family dynamics is okay to change.
Yeah.
It's not just one person's. If one person is here, the other is here, it's perfectly fine. You have to make the whole wheel moving. And
that is where I would like to put in, the upbringing that we were given, both in our family as well as in her family. So these are values that you are not born with. These are things that you learn from your family.
Yes.
So yes, I would like to thank my parents and of course
and that's parents. A very progressive way of looking at things and problems and approaching them with positivity.
At one point of time, we used to feel that this is never going to end. But somehow, I think after the birth of our daughter too, we had a daughter in 2009, and gradually things started looking up, and we just held on to it, and here we are. So my son is now 20, touch wood, and so
That's
things are.
lovely. That's
Mm.
so
Yeah, we
beautiful.
were blessed with a daughter in 2009. So things started changing. I guess it started changing since then.
That's what many people say.
That is what many people say.
That's what I said. It's such a positive way to look at life. It's totally up to you how you want to define it.
Yeah.
You can look at like Sabiha said, that you can see the glass is half empty, half
Mm.
full.
Half
Count
full.
your blessings. It's totally up to you how you want to
Yeah.
take things.
And never indulge in self-pity. That is also one thing that you have to never indulge in self-pity. That destroys you.
Yes, it's easy to victimize yourself.
Mm.
Yeah,
all the
it is. It is.
problems.
It is a very bad. See, I've seen all of it. Depression, self pity, pain, everything. And these are things that really, they mentally they break you, kill you, everything you can say.
And I also feel that support is wonderful. People do, but it's also your inner strength which drives you through it.
Definitely.
Yeah,
No
ultimately,
support also helps if you are not ready to
yes,
accept.
ultimately you have to do it.
Yes.
That is the crux of it.
And I would give him all credit for coming out of that morphine phase.
I was on 20 mg of morphine per day.
He reduced it.
I gradually started reducing it because one day I realized that if this goes on, I'll not be able to do anything in life. It will come to an end like this. So every time I used to go for my refill, I used to tell the doctor reduce it by 2 mg. So that is how it came down to from 20 to it came down to 1.5. After 1.5, what happened? It stopped. So you need to give me credit for that. It would not have been possible if I would not have, wanted to get rid of it. That is how it happened.
True.
Point taken.
Mehdi is now back to work with an organization. He does a show, Hum Tum with Mehdi, on YouTube, and he makes it a point to walk for at least an hour and a half every day.
What's your biggest learning in life through this journey? The most important one.
Life is very unpredictable.
Yeah, it is unpredictable. What you plan, it is not certain that it will happen that way. And as she said, you need to count your blessings. But till the time you are in the mode that why did it happen to me?
Yeah.
And why me?
Why me?
Why me?
Why me?
Why everything is going wrong? Till that time, you can't get out of it. If you really want to get out of something, you need to count your blessings. But that is one thing that I have learned. And for this, I would like to give credit to her.
What message would you like to give to the viewers?
See, one message that is there, never give up. The moment you give up yourself, nothing will work for you. Always keep your chin up, and things are going to change sooner or later. वो कहते हैं ना, गम के बादल परमानेंटली नहीं रह सकते, जैसे खुशियां परमानेंटली नहीं रह सकती, गम भी परमानेंटली नहीं रह सकता. So you will get over it. It's how well you cope with situations. And another important thing is we need to value relationships.
Yes.
That is very important. And I am also a believer in religion, So
in God.
In God and religion. So religion in the sense God. So that also is something which provides strength. So these are the three things, at least from my side, if you'd like to add.
The same thing, that life is so unpredictable. You can't decide. We've all seen that in the Corona days, how things changed for the whole world. So for your life too, you just have to keep the faith, and things will change.
Yeah, maybe I also feel that, when it's going on, we all feel where is the tunnel, where do we see
Yeah,
light? But
exactly.
it
You
does
don't see
pass. It does
Mhm.
pass.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing your story and for giving such powerful messages all through
Oh,
the
you're
story.
welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for calling us on this show.
It was a
And I hope
pleasure. Thank you so much.
somebody finds value in this.
I'm sure they will. Thank you so much, Samia.
you.
Thank you,
You're welcome.
Mehdi. Thank you.
Bye.